Good evening, I'm back. I'm your host, Jack Remington, of the Jack Remington NFL channel. Didn't do too good last week. 5 wins, 8 losses, and 1 push. The Chargers Lions landed on exactly 3. I think 14% of all games land on 3, but it has not happened so far much this year at all, surprisingly. Anyway, we lost all 3 of our teasers, but at least they were only 6-point teasers, only $1.20 juice. So we lost 360 unit money for entertainment, the entertainment chips we have. Gambling? You kidding me? Well, anyway, so if we had done the 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8, it would have been over 400 units lost. You take a look at this season, you can see that when I'm in a slump, I'm in a slump. But I'm just a hair away, and I've made some good picks that I went against the grain in 3 of my 5 wins that no one else had, or very few people had. So it's starting to surface. Just got, like everybody else, got to have a break here, break there. Things got to break your way. So I'm going to go over, if I were cashing the money, I'd make sure I'd give them something. Entry number 1, we're taking the Cleveland Browns at home, -1 over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pick number 2, we're taking the Arizona Cardinals, +5. They're at the Houston Texans. Pick number 3, we're taking the Green Bay Packers, +3. They're home against the Chargers. Pick number 4, we're taking the New York Giants, +9. They're at the Washington Commanders. And I scratched this 5th game. I scratched the Vikings, and I'm taking in this place at the last minute. I got to do the video today. I'll be back on the road tomorrow. I got to work again, part of the shift. Couldn't get anybody to cover for me. I won't be able to do anything Saturday or Sunday. So this is all by instinct, and I'm watching the highlights when I'm traveling. We're taking the Detroit Lions at home. They're hosting the Chicago Bears, division rival. I mean, I should have my head examined for doing this. -7.5. That's potentially 2 scores, right? 7 plus a field goal. So I'm taking a chance. Okay. Entry card number 2. We got the Browns again. I'm using the Cleveland Browns on both cards. Last week I had the Dallas on both cards. I won with both of them, but I had Green Bay. I lost both by half a point on both of them. So I'm going to try one team this week that I like the best. I think it's the best game I like the best. And only laying a point. I know that Cleveland's got this hack for a quarterback, but their defense is going to slow Pittsburgh down. Pittsburgh doesn't exactly have the offense like the best show on turf with Kurt Warner and the Rams in the late 1990s. I mean, Pittsburgh just is one of the worst offenses in history. Pick number 2. These are not in order. We're taking the Buffalo Bills, the reeling Bills. They're at home again. They're hosting the Jets. The Jets beat them once. And we needed the Jets to get that sweep on the card number 1. And we want to go back and look at my card. We needed the Jets big time. And Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the first series. I think play number 3. He just lays down on the what's wrong with this guy? Did he have a fainting spell? Did he have a heart attack? I had no idea his Achilles thing snapped. Neither did anybody else. And I'm back in the Jets, but you know what? Their defense is not much as stout as it was last year. The Jets defense, they're getting frustrated. But I'll talk more about that in depth. Let me get the picks out, and I'll tell you more why I'm taking the Bills. So card number 2, we got the Browns, we got the Bills -7. The next pick, Kansas City Chiefs at home. We're taking the Chiefs -2.5, hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll get into that later. The next pick, the 49ers at home, -11.5 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the last pick, the Miami Dolphins at home, -13.5. They're hosting the Raiders. So this is an all chalk ticket because I think this is going to be a chalk weekend. I mean, I just think that this is the weekend. Every now and then there's a weekend where the chalk just eats up the dogs. And this is that week. Going over the entire card as promised. And I'll be as quick as I can. I can't do a lot of editing. I got to get this video out. Okay, so Browns -1. Okay, I think the look-ahead line or the early line was Browns -4.5. Then it was 4 to 3, and meandered down to -1. Matter of fact, I had a guy tell me he saw a pick 'em online offshore. He probably did. And Pittsburgh beat him once and probably lost with that game. I was looking for the Steelers get reeled to 0-2. They got smashed by the 49ers week 1. And the Browns looked pretty good in week 1. I mean, I knew the Browns had a good defense. As long as Myles Garrett leads that defensive front 4, that's the best front 4 in football. I don't care. I'll argue with anybody. Pittsburgh Steelers has a problem that some other teams are having in the NFL, and there's a lot of unders this year. I mean, the unders are just kicking the shit out of the overs, and that's okay. You just got to, as a handicapper, you got to be prepared for that, and you got to act accordingly. A lot of flags and drive killers, stuff like that. So there's many reasons I'm not going to get into. It would take too long, but the scoring is down in the NFL. I just think this is a good spot for the Browns. They need this. They need to win here to keep pace with the Ravens, who are starting running away with the division in the AFC North, the toughest division in football. I keep saying it, and I'll stand by that. Okay, right now Cincinnati's in last place, but they're 5-5, and they're still dangerous. With all their injuries and all the shit that's going on with the Bengals, they can still go on and run and win it all. Okay, this last place team, the Bengals, the coaching matchup I'm a little worried about. I think Tomlin is, as much as I dislike that guy, he's good at a few things. He's a high school wrestler that, you know, he wins more than he loses overall, but he just can't seem to get that breakthrough because he has one or two good moves. He has a good roll, get the guy off of his back, and get a 2-point reversal. He's good at getting a couple points here and there, but he can't win the big matches. Okay, especially since he lost Big Ben. So as good as Tomlin is, I still think he's better than Stefanski that George Clooney stand-in that Cleveland's got. I mean, he's made some blunders in his games, worse than Tomlin. So I worry a little bit about that. And Tomlin might outcoach this guy, but if he could just keep his defense focused, get this quarterback. I forgot the P.J. Walker. I forgot the guy's name already. He's supposed to be the worst quarterback in the NFL, supposedly. But I think the Giants guys got a worse quarterback. We'll talk about that later. Let's face it. They can't be that what we call worst, the worst of the worst. I mean, anybody that gets an NFL tryout's got to have some talent. I mean, they all can run, pass, jump, kick, fight, spit, curse at the coaches, go to the club afterwards and get some hookahs and get some skanks and have fun, get some blow, smoke some weed, drink some beer, drink some tequila to kill you. They all can do that, all of them. You set foot on the NFL field, you got to have some talent. These coaches don't understand that, and the players understand that too. Cleveland's coach is going to have this. He's going to be a game manager, and he's just going to make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes. Keep the game tight, 0-0, 3-3, and wait for Pittsburgh to make their mistake. They're going to fumble the ball, or Cleveland's going to strip sack them. They're going to intercept them. The Browns got the better special teams, so we're going to take the Browns here. Next pick, we're taking it. Kyler Murray's back, and I didn't watch the highlights, but I got two friends that I trust a lot who are better than me, in my opinion, although they would disagree, but I think they're better than me. And their records this year proves that for this year. They love what they saw in Kyler Murray. I mean, he wants to play. He's a game baller. He wants to play, and he did wonders in the Arizona win last week. And we lost that game. Now Houston, I'm happy when a team can turn it around. And the C.J. Stroud, he might be the real deal. But have you seen their injury list? They got the second most starters from week 1 to now. Most starters out. I mean, look at their injury list is a mile long. And then Tunsil, their best offensive lineman, he's still out. So and they keep winning these games. I mean, I tip my hat off to if you listen to my other videos, I said this guy's gonna be a good coach. This DeMeco Ryans for the Texans. I told people I could just tell. I just knew. My instincts told me he's gonna be a good coach, and they play hard for him. So that's a lot of the battle is getting your team to play hard for him and not quit on you like Bill Belichick. But we're gonna take the Cardinals. We're getting 5 points. If they could just keep the game close, and Kyler Murray might break one late when the Texans get tired. Texans, they look like they're out of gas a little bit in the fourth quarters. And I'm looking at Kyler Murray. He's fresh. He's only played one game. I know that's not a good reason to handicap a game, but Cardinals are not that bad. I mean, I'm taking the 5 points. Like I can't take all chalk because I won't win a game. So I'm trying to pick the dogs. I think that's going to come in. Next game, Green Bay Packers. They're hosting a dangerous team, Los Angeles Chargers. The offense is clicking. Have you seen that Keenan Allen, how he's been playing? I'm going to say it on this video, and I don't care who argues with me, put it in the comments below. He's the best receiver in the NFL. That guy, if he's got on the field and he's healthy and that ball is within 30 feet, he's going to catch that ball. I'm telling you, he's going to leapfrog. He's going to Raymond Berry of the Baltimore Colts. I grew up with my dad had Colt tickets when I was a boy, small boy. And I got to see Raymond Berry make these catches, and he's like 2 inches off his toes are in bounds. He's all the way extended to catch that ball, and they, I mean, people couldn't believe it. That's Keenan Allen. I'm telling you, he's Raymond Berry reincarnated. I mean, this guy is just amazing. And Justin Herbert, I mean, he loves Keenan Allen. Why wouldn't you? So he's going to throw it to him every chance he can. So the Chargers' offense has been pretty good. The Chargers are an offensive team, although their coach, Staley, he's supposed to be a defensive guru, but he hasn't shown it. But that's okay. Sometimes you got to switch gears. Green Bay, they're kind of, I had high hopes for them, and I took their season total over 7.5 wins. And I might have a loser with that. I'm not so sure what's happened with that team, and I took the highlights, and I think they got tape on Jordan Love, and I think they finally defensed him. But here's where this comes in. Chargers have a bad defense, and I think Jordan Love is just good enough to get a couple sneaky throws in there and keep the chains moving and put Justin Herbert and then Keenan Allen on the sidelines. And I think they're going to grind out a win here. And I'm getting 3 points. I'm I normally bet against home dogs, but it's a mixed bag. It's close to 50-50 this year. This might be the spot for the Pack to pull one here. And the Chargers, they find ways to lose games. And they might be a little deflated. They went toe-to-toe in the center of that ring with Detroit. I mean, Detroit's a big heavyweight slugger. I mean, I like what I saw in the Chargers too. But Green Bay is starting to show some signs of life, and this is a good chance for an upset. The next pick, we're taking the New York Giants +9. They're at the Washington Commanders. Okay, the Commanders should be favored by 9 points over anybody. I know they got this guy Tommy DeVito is supposed to be the quarterback of the Giants, and he's trying to outsink the Titanic with this J.P. Walker for Cleveland for the worst quarterback in the NFL. And it's a dead heat, or it's a dead sink, you want to call it that. But the Giants are the Giants. I mean, Dayball, as much as I don't like the guy anymore, he throws his players under the bus too much in public. And when you got a boss you can't please, nothing you ever do is going to work right. And I can see the signs of other things going on with the Giants that I think Dayball's lost his team. But they might have a last gasp here because they don't like the Commanders. I mean, it's a big division rivalry. The Giants are not going to make the playoffs where they're 2-7 or 2-8, whatever it is. But the Giants still have remnants of a defense. And if they can sack this quarterback for the Commanders, he's on pace to being the most sacked quarterback of all time. That's going to keep them in this. That's going to keep them in this game. So I'm taking the Giants +9. I'm taking the division rivalry. See what happens. Next game, it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're hosting the Tennessee Titans, and everybody and their brother and their grandmother and their deceased relatives are betting on the Titans +7. And Mike Vrabel's at 24-13, and 2 pushes of the dog, blah blah blah. And in the division, he's 21-8. You know what? Jacksonville got spanked by the 49ers, 34-3 at home, coming off that 49ers coming off their bye, and they lost 3 in a row. Let me tell you, man, Doug Peterson's a good coach. He only took him 2 years to bring home that trophy when he was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm telling you, Jacksonville's out for blood, and they're going to take it out on Tennessee. I think didn't Tennessee beat them once this year already, early in the season? You know what? I don't have time to look it up because I don't have time to do editing and cutting. But this is a division rivalry, and I know I'm supposed to take the points here, but you know what? I think Jacksonville's going to come out and make a statement. Hey, we're in the top 10 now. We're the big boys. We're a playoff team. Tennessee, they're fading, and I've been telling people since week 1, and I can see Derrick Henry getting less and less yards. And he has a good game every now and then, but most of his games they're not using him. He's either playing hurt or he's giving up. He's taking plays off. It happens. They're waiting for next year. Maybe he's looking to get another trade. He's got a couple years left. But there are some problems with the Tennessee Titans. I just think Jacksonville. It's either Jacksonville or pass. So I'm taking Jacksonville -7. Next game, I'm taking Detroit Lions at home. They're hosting Chicago Bears. There's still some question on whether Justin Fields is going to play. And if he does play, he's got this bad thumb. He's got a bad toe. How effective is he going to be? And Detroit's, they got their number. I think Detroit's won every interdivision game like the last year and a half, from what I can remember. You can leave in the comments if I'm wrong, but Detroit, I think they're going to take it. They're going to beat up on the Bears, and the Bears season's over too. But Detroit's season is not. They got something to play for. They're playing for seeding now. I just like to Jared Goff. I mean, he's the top-ranked quarterback in the NFL. That's not an accident. I'm taking the Lions -7.5. Next game, Miami Dolphins at home. They're hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. They've won 2 in a row, and now they're smoking cigars. They went on some kind of 2-day excursion somewhere, some vacation place, and I saw the photos of them with the girls and everything else. You know, the guy got the beer bottle in his hand. You know, but we're going to take the Dolphins. We're going to take the Dolphins, and we're going to lay this chalk to 13.5. I think the Raiders are fat and happy. They've won 2 in a row. They have never won. They haven't won 3 in a row since they fired John Gruden. So I'm telling you, the last year and a half will be a whole different NFL season had they not fired John Gruden after week 3. They were 3-0. They were the top-ranked team in the NFL at that time. Oh, he had an email from 17 years ago that he said the N-word or whatever it was he said. I can't remember what it was anymore. Something ridiculous. Oh, my God. Well, anyway, he was crying on it. Oh, I can't believe he said that. He had tears on the TV show. And if you don't believe me, you send me an email, and I'll when I get back from in 2 weeks, I'll dig the clips up and I'll put it on my channel. Because, I mean, I just couldn't believe this guy's crying like a little baby. Randy Moss. Before I could type in a game from the Super Bowl when he couldn't make that pass, it popped up. It's Randy Moss. Have Randy Moss in tears. Give me a break. The Dolphins and Raiders. The Raiders are fat and happy. And I think Miami's made a comeback against the Chiefs. And Chiefs don't exactly have a bottom 5 defense. I think the Raiders defense to me doesn't strike me that well. And I think the Jets outplayed them. And the Jets should have won that game. We lost with the Jets. I understand that. But the Jets should have won that game. But should have, would have, could have. Don't mean anything. And yes, the better team wins the game. So that night they were the better team. But let me tell you, the breaks went. Every break went their way. And that last play of the game, if there was Wilson had a little more, a tenth of a second ounce of concentration, he catches that ball, they win that game. I mean, that's the best Hail Mary I've seen this season. I mean, that's the best pass, best play for the Jets in their entire season, as bad as it's been. And it was an incomplete pass. Think about that. I mean, just end the season. That's why they call it that for a reason. But we're taking the Dolphins. I think Dolphins going to smoke them. I think Tyreek Hill's going to pad his stats here, and I love it, Tyreek Hill, man. He's just amazing. Anyway, next game. So Dallas Cowboys are at the Carolina Panthers. Dallas is favored by 10.5. Reluctantly, I'm gonna take the Cowboys -10.5. I can very well. I know I might be making a bad pick because it's a bad spot for the Cowboys. Now you think, well, how can you say that? They just stomped the Giants by 30-some point or by whatever, 44-20, whatever it was. They destroyed the Giants. The Giants were never in the game. But when the Cowboys are on the road, they're not the same team. That dichotomy about the Cowboys has changed the last 5-6 years. It used to be they would cover every spread on the road and would lose at home or not cover at home or barely win at home and not cover the spread. Well, since they got McCarthy, has changed, and I realize that now. And I've said on the other videos where it was the Cowboys not as good as home. They're really good at home this year. That's good to find. As handicappers, we got to recognize that and act accordingly and take advantage of that. But the Cowboys might be in a letdown spot. They just spanked the Giants a couple weeks ago, but they lost a heartbreaker to the Eagles, and I've been warning people about this Dak Prescott guy. He's not all what you think. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but he's not top tier. He's not a Ben Roethlisberger. He's not a Drew Brees. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Peyton Manning. He's not even a Justin Herbert, in my opinion. I think Justin Herbert's a better quarterback. I just think Dak Prescott, and as long as he's been playing football since he's 5 years old in the Pee Wee League, right? And he can't see the sideline. He doesn't know when you're diving for the pylon. Make sure the foot's still in bounds. I'm not. I play football too. I was never a pro player. Don't misread that. But I did play in high school. I never got in for a play. I was too small. But I made teams. I went to all the practices. I thrived in the football environment. The Cowboys. I mean, they lost the Cardinals. Was it week 3? I mean, it's early in the season, but they were they outgained the Cardinals. They did all that, but they lost. It's a flat spot. It's a bad spot for the Cowboys. But we have to pick. We're obligated to pick every game. I got to take the Cowboys and hope that they just show up, and the Panthers can't score that much. I'm looking for like a 21-10. We'll barely cover. the line's trying to tell you something. Dallas Cowboys have been playing pretty well, and they were favored by 17 over the Giants, and they they had that covered in the second quarter. It was covered, and now this week the line's only 10.5. What's the line? What's the odds maker trying to tell you? They're trying to tell you the game's gonna be a little closer, and it's a flat spot for Dallas. But I'll ride it one more time. Next game, San Francisco 49ers at home. They're hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers are a hard team to figure because they got to like the number 2 run defense in the NFL, but their pass defense is terrible. And I think Brock Purdy, they just smoked Jacksonville last week. They're going to keep the ball rolling now. They're home, but the Buccaneers can keep games close. They only lost by 11 to Philadelphia before that Monday Night Football game. Baker Mayfield might wake up and, hey, I am an NFL quarterback and play 50 miles over his head again, and could keep this game close, but not a chance. I think 49ers are going to make a statement. The only reason why the Bucs are even relevant because the whole NFC South is terrible. And I don't think any of them are over 500. I think the Saints are 5-5. I think the Saints are in first place. I think. Yeah, the Bucs have something to play for, but they don't do too good against real good teams. And I think the 49ers, they corrected me and a lot of other people last week. They're back. If they get Deebo Samuel and Brock Purdy on the field, watch out. Next game, Seattle Seahawks are at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams are home, and Rams are the home underdog. They're getting 1 point. Well, remember, we had them in week 1 in a big upset. Seattle was kicking shit in the first half, and the Rams came back with Matthew Stafford, and we won that game. Okay? And they looked good doing it. The Rams went toe-to-toe to 49ers and played a couple other games pretty close, and it looked like they were going to be a top 10 team this year. But somewhere in there, the wheels came off, and the Rams have been struggling. And Aaron Donald had a team-only meeting with just the defensive players, and I guess he bitched them out. Because he's the only one playing, in my opinion, at the high level. I see on the highlights. He's the only one getting any sacks. No one else is doing crap on the Rams team. And the Rams are 3-6. I think their season is over. I went over the 7.5 like I did with Green Bay. I think I got another loser there in season win totals. But the Seahawks have something to play for. They got to keep pace with the 49ers. And the Seahawks can still win that division. I think Seahawks are going to do it. I think Pete Carroll is going to make the adjustments, and they're going to play like in the first half, and Geno Smith's going to have a good game. And I think the Rams are going to find a way to lose the game. And the Rams are banged up. A couple of the receivers are banged up. They got Cooper Kupp back, but Stafford's he's not healthy. Geno Smith is healthy. I think Pete Carroll's better coach than Sean McVay, even though I praise McVay up and down. But Pete Carroll's got won a Lombardi too. He won the NCAA championship with the USC Trojans, and I got to see them play. Pete Carroll's a great coach. He's a top 5 NFL coach. They need this game, and I think the Rams are just playing. I think the Rams quit. They can't get the Super Bowl thing mojo back to 2 years ago. They quit. They're going to wait for next year. That's just my personal opinion from what I watch on the highlights and reading when I'm traveling. And the only ones playing hard on the defense is Aaron Donald. And the offense, that Puka Nacua, he's hurt. He's dropping balls now because he's playing hurt. So we're going to take the Seahawks. Next game, this is the one I want to talk about. The Buffalo Bills hosting the New York Jets. The Bills have been on the skid. They're injured. They had the game against the Broncos, won. The guy missed a field goal, but they had 12 men on the field. And they got 5 yards closer to when next time it was practically a chip shot field goal right down the middle. And they lost the game last time. We had the Broncos. Look at our card. We only won 5 games last week. That's one of them. We had the Broncos to beat the Bills at Buffalo. But so what does Buffalo do? They overreact. They fired Brian Dorsey, the offensive person, or Leo Dorsey, I think is his name. Something Dorsey. They fired him. They fired someone else, suspended someone else, and switched another coach around or something, and made a couple other changes, roster changes. But Coach McDermott, he might be on the hot seat for Buffalo. Now, this Terry Pagula, the new owner of the Bills, he's only had a team for a couple years. Well, he's been embroiled in a lawsuit this year for some kind of racism charge, and it's not over. It's going to cost him a lot of money. He said something, he did something, I don't even know, something stupid. Some people say he didn't even do it. So it might be a shakedown. So in this world of today, not trying to bring politics into it, this is what you're going to get. What kind of owner is he? Well, he's already irritated with these lawsuits and everything that he never had to deal with until he became the owner of the Buffalo Bills. I think McDermott's on the hot seat. I mean, I've seen this movie before. The top rank, the second top 3 team 4 years in a row. Josh Allen is a great quarterback, but he's playing hurt. Now, I told you in the other video that some stat place, PFF, along with Elias Sports Bureau and a couple other places, and the information got out on the video I was listening to on the plane, and they said that 20 quarterbacks that have played every game, at least the half for every game that for their team this year, there's only 20 of them. Josh Allen is the top-ranked passer by 10 points over everybody else in the NFL, over everybody else. If it's from 1 yard to 15 yards, he's the most accurate passer in the NFL. From 15 yards further out, any range, he is the worst passer, even worse than Zach Wilson, if you can believe that. So he's playing hurt. Now look, I'm telling you, I played ball. I'm having a bad season after that great start I had, but that doesn't mean I don't know football. And I'm telling you, he's playing hurt. They got to win this game. This is their Super Bowl. And the Jets beat them once on that Monday night game that we needed desperately, that punt return in overtime, or whatever it was. And we won that game. And I thought for sure we lost. Buffalo was winning the whole freaking game. We got lucky. Aaron Rodgers out. I mean, what would you think? What did you think? I mean, I was at work watching on the lounge TV. I mean, I went back to work. I gave up. I thought this game's over. And they came back and we won? Really? Anyway, talk about the Jets for a second. That look on Robert Salary's face, I mean, he's dealing with locker room turmoil now. I think Zach Wilson has actually improved, but now their best receivers are dropping the balls, or they're running the wrong routes, and he got picked off. I mean, they were beating the Raiders. They're dinking and dunking with field goals, but the Raiders got that one touchdown, and that made the difference. That one drive, when they needed to make the stop, they couldn't make the stop. Last year's Jets defense, they make that stop. They strip sack that guy and then go the other way. Last year's Jets team, they won this game 30-3. But this year's Jets defense, I'll let the other guy make the tackle. When you start seeing that on the defense, and you got to know what to look for, to look just a touch second, make it to the tackle. Tackling the defense is about tackling, and the best tackling defenses are usually great defenses, and they're almost always in the playoffs, and they're the Super Bowl winners. Okay, I'm here to tell you. And when you see teams like look at last week, I saw the Broncos game. Buffalo's making a comeback when they were getting ready to take the lead. It took 5 Denver Broncos guys to get that one guy down on the sideline on the right side of the field to get that first down. He fought and got that first down. It's like the Broncos all our season's done. Let this guy make the tackle. And that guy's thinking, let this guy make the tackle. And then when they realize that in the nanosecond, the tackle he's not tackled, then they try again. They're taking plays off, and they've given up on the season. A lot of them gave up after week 1. I just think the Bills are a better team when they're healthy. The key components of the Buffaloes are offense. And I think Josh Allen's going to light them up. I know I'm laying 7. Everybody and their brothers betting the Jets. They've already buried the Bills. The Bills are done putting a fork in them. Not a chance. I'm taking the Buffalo Bills. This is their Super Bowl. And if Jets do slonker them here, or Jets or Bills that don't even cover, I probably won't ever back the Bills the rest of the season, because it's going to be a hard team to gauge because they're not covering spreads if they don't cover this game here. This is the critical game right now for the season for the Buffalo Bills. Jets, they had their chance to assert themselves in this division. They can't do it. And that look on Robert Salary's face said it all. Next game, we're changing our pick here. I know I got the Vikings on my sheet here, but I'm changing it right now. Between the Broncos at home, -2.5. They're hosting the Minnesota Vikings. I know that Josh Dobbs guy. I'm rooting for the guy all the time. I think it's a great story. See, to me, that's sports journalism when you talk about what Josh Dobbs is going through. And this is his 6th team this year. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants this guy? I think the guy's pretty damn good. If nothing else, he's a second-string backup quarterback. If nothing else. And he could be the second-string backup quarterback on any other NFL team. He could be the third-string backup. I mean, there should be a spot for this guy. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm going to spit it out. This guy belongs in the NFL. And he's got grit. See, when I see a player's got grit, I like that. I'm a sucker for that. Mac Jones, not so much. But this guy's got grit. And if Bill Belichick can get this guy, he can save the season. Anyway, and the Vikings are rallying around this guy, too. I mean, they all got Kirk Cousins shirts on. They're trying to show some unity. And McDonald's to turn this team around. They're one of the 0-3 teams. We had them when they won their first game. What are the Vikings got? The hill they got to climb. Okay, they're at Mile High. Okay, and they're not. May not. That gives the Broncos a half a point right there because the altitude, but just half a point. I keep telling people Sean Payton used to be a world class coach, and he's got a Lombardi. He should have a couple Lombardis. I don't want to make this video too long, but when Seattle won that year, I mean, they were down 16-0 almost the whole entire freaking game, and they came back and were like 5 yards from tying that game up to send it to overtime. And if I was your Seattle, Seattle bitch slapped the NFL that year with Pete Carroll. I mean, Russell Wilson. I mean, they were just awesome. They beat the 49ers twice. I mean, they were on fire, and they destroyed the Broncos in the Super Bowl. With Peyton Manning? I mean, that team almost lost to the Saints in the championship game. I'm telling you. So Sean Payton, I took my hat off to him, and there was nothing. They got robbed when they played the Rams in that playoff game. You don't know what the Saints would have done had the referees not blown that call. They could have won and won it all. You don't know that. So Sean Payton's had his team here a few times. He's been to the big dance several times. He's a good coach. Now he inherited a horrible, I mean, the worst defense in NFL history. I mean, Miami hung up 70-some points on them. But the last 4 weeks, okay, they've held the Chiefs at 9 points, and it's 18 points the other, 16 points the other time. We lost by half a point in that game. Okay, we had the Broncos. And the Broncos, when they beat the Chiefs, they're not going to be a top 10 defense, but they're going to be an average defense, better than that number 32 defense they were for the first 6 weeks. Okay, he's turning around. He's slowly applying what he knows about coaching. Okay, and Russell Wilson's actually having a decent year. I mean, much better than last year. He's not scoring a whole lot, but they're holding the ball more, and they're keeping their defense on the field and keeping it rested. Sean Payton knows how to gauge a game from A to Z, and that's what the Vikings are up against. Yeah, McConnell's okay for the Vikings, but you know what? The coaching matchup is Sean Payton. I'm going to take the Broncos laying 2.5, and 2.5 is my poison spread. Every time I take 2.5, I don't think I've won a game taking 2.5. I'll go back and look on all my sheets, but every time I lay 2.5, I lose. Last game, Kansas City Chiefs at home. They're hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Kansas City's laying 2.5. I'm doing it again. I'm laying the 2.5. The major component, my handicapping this game, is Justin Hurt is hurt. And he's not. He's nursing a bad. Look, I'm telling you, when your knee is killing you, and you can hardly get out of bed, you can hardly walk. I think Sirianni has showed his true colors, and he's just got lucky. He inherited a Doug Peterson team that had one bad year, and owners are impatient. They're billionaires. They want it now. People keep bitching about Donald Trump because he's a billionaire. Well, look how he is. Oh, he shouldn't be like that. Well, all billionaires are like that. That's why they're billionaires. Okay. If you and I are billionaires, we wouldn't be having this conversation, number one. Number two, if you and I are billionaires, we would be friends, but we'd also be rivals. Number three, if we were all billionaires, if you and I were billionaires, we would be very impatient. It wouldn't be an hour-long video. It would be a 10-minute video. I don't listen to your shit for an hour. Give me the 10-minute quick take, and that, that's how they are. They want to win now. They don't want to, they don't want to wait 3 or 4. There's been several coaches over the years I've heard about that when they've interviewed for the job. Arthur Blank popped in my head for the Falcons. He wants a winner now, and there's been a couple coaches that said, "Well, I'm not going to interview for the job because he's impatient, and he's never won a Super Bowl either, has he?" But the Cleveland guy, Lerner, the trucking guy, the trucking magnate guy, he's impatient, but he might get his wish in a couple years. So they know they're going to be fired if they don't make deep runs of playoffs. And that's what happens in the NFL. It's called not for long for a reason. I think Sirianni is making a terrible, terrible, horrible mistake. I mean, this is your franchise player, and he's still developing. I mean, I think there's some upside to Jalen Hurts. I mean, I think he's got upside. When I saw Lamar Jackson in that 14-2 season, when he came along, I knew I could just watch him, and I knew he still had some upside with his passing. Those kind of, and Michael Vick could run like a deer and he could never tackle the guy. But he was erratic as a thrower, but he improved his throwing over time. And now Lamar Jackson's improved his throwing. They can do the same thing with Justin Hurst if they don't ruin him. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I just get so angry at these billionaire owners and these Jerry Joneses, people like that. I can't believe I didn't think of him first. There's a lot of coaches that would never play for Jerry, and Bill Belichick was one of them. And he let it slip out in some talk somewhere. Oh, I'll never work for Jerry Jones. Well, he's too impatient. He wants to win now. And then when they saw what he did to Jimmy Johnson, why would you want to coach for him? I don't know why McCarthy's a better coach than people think he is. Why is he there at Dallas? I don't know. The Eagles, I think their biggest weakness is their coaching. Okay, they lost both their offensive and defensive coordinator. And I know what you're saying. Well, Jack, they're 8-1. How could you talk like that? Well, and they've been playing in slow motion, like I said. I mean, it says like, oh, we're behind now, and then whatever they need late in the game. So Sirianni is smart enough to keep his team in shape. Okay, he's smart enough to keep them breathing, cardiovascular shape to outlast the opponent. He's got that down pretty good. And I look for that. And I don't look for it in the first half. I look for it in the second half. Are they suck a win on the side? How do they, when they get off the ground, are they slow getting up? There's things you can look for if you know what to watch for in the NFL football game. But I just think the Chiefs, their defense has improved dramatically. And the people, well, Jack, the Super Bowl revenge, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but you know what? The Chiefs got to keep winning too. They can't. They want the first seed. The Ravens are on their ass. The Eagles want to keep winning too, but I think the Eagles are in a good driver's seat. But the Chiefs need this game more than the Eagles do. The Chiefs are just playing better football. The Chiefs don't play in slow motion. I mean, they're always trying. And Sirianni, the coach for the Eagles, I don't rate him much better than Andy Reid. And I don't like him. I think he's the luckiest coach in the NFL history, but I can't bash him anymore. He's got 2 Lombardis. He's created a mini dynasty. This will never happen again while I want to talk about it, and I hope it can keep us on the videos not too long. There's never been a team like the Kansas City Chiefs that's been able to host the AFC Championship game 5 seasons in a row. Even the Patriots didn't do that. I mean, that's saying something. You got to give them credit. Everybody's bitching about Travis Kelce and that girl, that Taylor Swift. Who cares? Really? You really got to talk about it? You can't find nothing else to talk about? See, this sports journalism today is a joke. So the video's too long. I got to get to my teasers. So I'm going to have to do some editing. I'm going to cut some of this out. And you know what? The videos are long because I got good information. I hope you get information. I want everybody to win. I want you to beat your bookies. I want you to make your bookies leave town. You can brag when you say, hey, the Jesse Orndorff guy from Brunswick, Maryland, he had to leave town because he couldn't pay me. I love hearing those stories. When you break your local bookie, that's great. I mean, that's why the reason why I do what I do. We lost off 3 teeters last week, and the strange thing, we won the first leg and just needed the second leg, but we got stonkered in all 3 second legs. So if I just switched a couple of games around, we'd have won a couple of them. But that's okay. So now we're down a couple hundred entertainment units only. We're going to go through the gauntlet to 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and 8-point teasers. I'm going to do 5 of them. I almost did 7 teasers, but I don't have time. This is very time consuming. So for the 6-point teaser, we have for a $1.20 juice, 6-point teaser, we got the Cleveland Browns +5 and Jacksonville -1. Just win the game, Jacksonville. Just win the game. And I'm taking some risk because if tie, we lose. Jacksonville could win by 1, but I think they're going to destroy Tennessee. So that's our 6-point teaser, and I like that teaser. And if I was in Vegas and I was doing my Vegas thing again, where I was betting every week, I'd put a dime on that teaser, and the rest would stay at 100. So I might even put 2 dimes on me. Who knows? And I used to save my tickets for the show by at work. I'd cash the tickets in next week and everything else. The 6.5-point teaser. We're taking Seattle Seahawks +5.5 and the Buffalo Bills -0.5. I'm gambling on the Bills winning this game. And I think Seahawks going to do it. 7-point teaser, $1.30 juice. We're taking the Dolphins -6.5, so we're knocking off a bunch of points on the Dolphins side, getting it below a touchdown. And we're taking the 49ers -4.5. So we're taking 2 chalkies for the 7-point teaser. Dolphins -6.5, 49ers -4.5. The 7.5-point teaser. Now we're talking $1.35 juice. Juice is getting pretty high, 35% juice. We're taking the New York Giants +16.5. They're at the Commanders. We're taking the Green Bay Packers are home plus 10.5 for hosting the Chargers. I think the Pack can keep within 10.5. The 8-point teaser, the $1.40 juice. I mean, when you lose these, it hurts. We're taking the Kansas City Chiefs plus 5.5, and we're taking the Broncos plus 5.5. So taking two of those favorites that are slated to minus 2.5. I'm getting the 8-point teasers, making sure I give them a half point because ties lose. And if I was in Vegas, I'd probably put a dime on this one, even though it's a $1.40 juice. When I would put a big money on my 8-point teaser, the $1.40 juice, I almost always won. That's that. Stay within your means. Long live the NFL. Happy-go-lucky Americans. You deserve it. You're an American. That's your entitlement as an American. It's your birthright. It's your citizenship benefit, being a great American. This great life we have. Okay? And I appreciate it, and I'm sure you do too. So thank you. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.